Hi folks. Recently I had the privilege of traveling to the United Nations headquarters, European headquarters, in Geneva, Switzerland. I was part of a delegation from Japan to attend the conference. It was an NGO delegation to attend the UN Conference on Human Rights. That's what it was, kids. It was a circus. Was Sea Shepherd there? What had happened was, a group of leftists in Japan, what I'm told is comprised mainly of lawyers, they filed complaints against their country, Japan, to the United Nations Human Rights Commissions. My question to them is this: did you first take these grievances to your government? Why did you first go, why did you go to an international body without first going to your government and making an appeal to your people? But here's what's interesting. They went to the UN committee with these accusations, tons of them. Where is the supporting documentation to back up these accusations? The UN just accepted it. And the members of the UN committee who were asking questions in reference to these accusations were siding with these leftists from Japan. What happened was, the Japanese government sent a delegation to answer these accusations. A delegation consisted of approximately 30 government members from Japan attended this conference. All that money wasted. If I was the government of Japan, I would have said, get lost, will you? Show me some proof to these accusations. Where's the documentation to that? And while we're at it, you're questioning Japan on human rights violations? Where was North Korea? How about China, the Sudan, Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia? And then the list goes on, and Cuba, on and on and on. No, you're not going to touch them. But you're going to get that Japanese, the Japan. They're evil because their people say so. Let me review with you some of the accusations. One of the accusations that was made was that in Japan, those people who were severely mentally handicapped are housed or institutionalized against their will. Hello? What are you, nuts? So you want them to be out on the street, posing a danger to others, and most notably to themselves. Is this what the leftists want? Then they were also complaining that a man was on death row for 40 years and then he was found innocent. Alright, it's a shame he was on death row. Happy he was found innocent. On death row for 40 years? I never... That sounds like a life sentence as opposed to a death sentence. Yeah. Then they want affirmative action for women politicians. They want affirmative action set up to make sure a certain percentage of women get elected. You're stupid, right? That's up to the electorate to make that decision, not to some law or international government body or to some leftist lawyer group in Japan. If you can't win at the ballot box, that's your problem. It has nothing to do with your gender. It has all to do with your politics. Then they were going on to say, we want free speech in Japan. Our free speech is being curtailed. So while they said that out of this side of the mouth, out of the other side of the mouth they said, we want Japan to make hate speech illegal. Wait a minute. How could you have free speech and then make hate speech illegal? In other words, if I say that I don't like the fact that you have sex with horses, you're rotten for doing that, that's hate speech. And that should be against the law. Yeah! There goes, see, with liberals, they want free speech to say what they say, but if you're not a liberal, you don't have free speech because whatever you say is hate speech. The hypocrisy of liberalism. Then at the end of the conference, the chairperson, the chairman there, he made some closing remarks. And in his closing remarks, he was critical of Japan for the comfort women issue. In other words, he believed it. Yeah, so Japan is guilty. Wait a minute. Why are you talking 70 years ago when we should be talking today? But at the end of the conference, one of the members of the delegation, the UN delegation, I asked him, were you given the documentation from the U.S. Army for report number 49 stating that these women that they captured were well-paid prostitutes? No. Well, I never saw that. I never even heard of it. Then how the Hades are you on that committee and critical of Japan if you didn't have all the documentation in your hand? Now, then they were complaining, why there's corporal punishment in Japan, in the schools and in the homes. Please, never mind the homes. But let's talk about the schools. So there's corporal punishment in the schools? Well, then you need to bring the state of Texas in front of that committee, because in a lot of our school districts, corporal punishment is permitted. But no, Japan is the evil one according to the Japanese leftists and the Japanese Lawyers Association. Then what was said by this committee, this lawyers group, this NGO group, is rated higher than the citizens NGO group. Isn't that discrimination? Isn't that what you're against? The hypocrisy of it all. Alright folks, and to those leftist organizations who brought this to the UN committee, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know what was the sad part about this whole thing? That Japan has now been victim of American-style liberalism. And that's not a good thing. As someone in America once said, if you want to ruin a nation, export American-style liberalism to it. Japan, you need to combat these liberals. You need to block them at every effort that you possibly can. And thank God I was part of this NGO group that was determined to do the same thing. Alright folks, to block these extreme liberals from ruining your country. We'll see you. God bless you. God bless America. God bless the nation you happen to be in. And God bless Nihonkoku, the land of the rising sun, Japan. See ya!